So I'd like to begin. Hi, Josh Thomas here from TheBitBlock. I'd like to begin by starting with a little bit of poetry, and well, it's not really poetry, but it's just really funny and silly to me. So let's just do this. Ready? Nintendo DS, Nintendo DSi, Nintendo DSi XL, Nintendo DS XL, Nintendo 3DS, Nintendo 3DS XL, new Nintendo 3DS, new Nintendo 3DS XL, Nintendo 2DS, new Nintendo 2DS XL. Now, you might think, did Josh just suffer some sort of a stroke? What happened to Josh there? That was just a bunch of insane drivel. Did he say things? What was that? Well, of course, what I just listed off there it's a long list of some of the most confusing, idiotic titles for video game machines ever. Nintendo DS? Cool. Nintendo 3DS? Okay, I get it. Anything beyond that is really dumb, except for like the XL. So anyways, let's get to the point here. A few of you have asked me to talk about this. I'm vaguely interested. I think I might be able to offer up some intriguing thoughts on it. So here we go. This is my video talking about Nintendo's announcement for the new Nintendo 2DS XL system. Good Lord, let's start off with the name. It's terrible. I mean, I'm not trying to be a dick, but it's the worst name I've probably ever heard for a video game system. It really is. That's a terrible name. New Nintendo 2DS XL. In no way does that roll off the tongue. In no way does that sound cool or exciting. It doesn't sound intriguing to where you're wondering, ooh, what's that about? It just sounds stupid. You know, I'd like to quote the great Harrison Ford, and I think he's got a perfect quote for this. He once said to George Lucas, you know, George, you can write this shit, but you just can't say it. And that's a great way of summing up Nintendo's titles for their video game systems. New Nintendo 2DS XL. On paper, I get it. It's new right now. It's a Nintendo 2DS. I get it. And it's extra large. I get it. But it sucks as a title. It's funny. I know all this Star Wars trivia, but I've never seen a Star Wars movie. People are going to point that out, but I don't know why. I know all this like weird inane trivia about the making of Star Wars, but I've never bothered to watch it. Anyways, okay, so what are my thoughts on this piece of garbage? No, I really don't think it's a piece of garbage. So I'll just talk about the system itself, and then we'll talk about the obvious, which is, didn't you just announce a new system? Or I'm sorry, didn't you just launch a new system last month, Nintendo? Isn't this going to confuse people? What are you doing? So we'll talk about that in a bit. So I always thought the Nintendo 2DS, at first I thought it was really stupid, and then shortly after that I was like, okay, I get it. This is for kids. This is a more sturdy, crappier build, though, you know, it was a weird, like, strange shape and stuff, but it was sturdy, and it was cheaper. It was just one screen, and they kind of hid that fact because it was not a clamshell. So they made it in a cheaper fashion, but it was sturdy, and it was for kids, and it cost less money. And of course, it didn't play, I don't think it plays DS games, and so it didn't have backwards compatibility. And the biggest thing, it wasn't in 3D. So all these things saved Nintendo money. They could package it up, sell it for cheaper, and market it to little kids. Like, hey, it's the little kid's first handheld gaming console. Isn't that cute? So I got it. I understood it. I made sense. Good way to make a profit. Good way to introduce a new audience to gaming at an early age. But with the trailer that just launched for this system, the 2DS XL, Nintendo shows not only little kids playing it, but teenagers and full-grown adults. So it's clear that their market for this seems to be different than the original 2DS, which makes me wonder, is the 2DS XL going to just phase out the regular 3DS? Like, is the new Nintendo 3DS XL, it's so hard to talk about this shit because of these names, but is the 3DS XL, new 3DS XL, is that going to kind of be pushed aside a bit? It seems like it should, because as of July, when the 2DS XL, new 2DS XL launches, this is a test in patience, there will be 4 systems being sold under the 3DS library, or 3DS family of 3DS family, as Reggie likes to call it, which is probably one of the most delinquent families I've ever seen. So in July, you'll be able to probably find a new Nintendo 3DS XL. You'll be able to find a new Nintendo 3DS, or just like a 3DS, or no, I'm sorry, a 3DS XL. You'll be able to find a Nintendo 2DS and a Nintendo 2DS XL, in theory. Now, maybe they'll discontinue the regular 2DS. Maybe they will, I don't know. Maybe they won't. I don't know. But there could be 4. That's kind of confusing, to be honest with you. 4 different varieties of a system, and it's not even just like a cosmetic change. They're genuinely different systems. So, and also, like, the prices are going to confuse people. Like, oh, hey Jimmy, should we get the new Nintendo 2DS XL or should we get the Nintendo 2DS? The Nintendo 2DS is cheaper than the new Nintendo 2DS XL. Or maybe we should get a new Nintendo 3DS XL. That's a little bit more expensive, but what's that about? Why is that called 3DS? Why is this called 2DS? Billy, your mother's having problems. Let's get out of here. It's just a mess. That's a real thing that's going to happen. Anyways. So there's confusion. I don't get it. But as a thing, I don't really understand this as much as I did the 2DS, the original one. Because like I said, the original one, I get it. Oh, it's kids. It's made crappy. But it's, you can throw it around and it won't break. Got it. But with this one, it's like, it's got a clamshell design. This new 2DS XL. It's got a clamshell design. It looks more visually appealing. It doesn't look quite as ugly. It's got like little blue buttons going on. It's, of course, not in 3D. It's a 2D system. And it's got the features of a new Nintendo 3DS XL with the little nub, the little C-stick nub, and whatever the hell the new 3DS had. I forgot. Probably a better camera, I'd imagine. The screens seem like a decent size. Well, yeah, it's an XL system, so there you go. But yeah, I mean, as a system, whatever. I don't care. It's stupid. I'm not going to be buying one. I couldn't care less. I think the biggest question is, what is this going to mean for the Switch? I do not, for the life of me, understand why Nintendo would be introducing a new product that, like it or not, is going to compete with the Switch for a certain market. For the casual mainstream market, this kind of thing could potentially be taking eyes away from the Switch. The Switch should be Nintendo's golden child. It has the potential to dig them out of a grave that was dug by the Wii U. So why are you testing that, Nintendo? Why are you trying to dick around with that? Why get the Switch that costs $300 when you can get your kid the 2DS XL, which costs $150? It's literally half the price, and there's a whole bunch of games. Like when you go to a Walmart and you look at the Switch games, there's genuinely like 4 or 5 games on the shelf. When you look at the 3DS games, it's a whole section. So to somebody who's not in the know or who's wise to this stuff, they're going to be like, well, get the 2DS. Look at all the games you could buy for it. So I guess in a way you could say, yeah, that's the point. The Switch has got not many games, and as time goes by, it will build up a library, and then more people want to buy it. I don't know, though. Like, if you buy your kid a 2DS XL, parents don't spend money on video game consoles nonstop. You probably can convince your parents to get you a video game console about once every 3 to 5 years. So I think this might push back some consumers that would have jumped on board the Switch, but now they're just going to get their kid the cheaper thing. So I don't know. I mean, this is one of the problems that the Switch really has to face. In my opinion, I would take the 3DS and I'd beat the hell out of it and bury it and make sure nobody saw you beating it and kill anybody that witnessed it. This thing was wonderful in 2011 when it launched. I think that's when it launched, right? So we're in 2017. It's time to let this wonderful little thing die, okay? It had a great life. It was very successful. But if you keep dragging this damn thing around, no matter what you do to it, you can call it new, you can call it an XL, you can call it a 2DS, it's still this. It's still this thing. And I think it's time to let that go. Because the longer you don't let that go, the more you could potentially hurt the Switch. The Switch is your future, Nintendo. This thing is not your future. This is outdated. The screen resolution is garbage by today's standards. The circle pad, you'd want an analog stick more than that. Just everything about this. The graphical capabilities look like crap. Play Mario Kart 7 on this, and then play Mario Kart 8 Deluxe on the Switch. It's like this was made on a different planet. A planet that doesn't have many resources. So I don't know. But here's the deal, though. I don't know if I mentioned this already in this video. This is actually take 2. So I might have mentioned this in the previous video that I tried to do, but I'll say it again. The new Nintendo 2DS XL probably makes more of a profit for Nintendo when sold than the Switch does. The Switch, I believe Nintendo pretty much breaks even on. They might make a little bit of a profit, but it's probably not much at all. Literally dollars. Well, of course it'd be dollars, but I mean, it's not going to be like, but you know what I mean? Like probably single-digit dollars. $10 maybe. So essentially, if you look at it from that perspective of, listen, we exist purely to make profit. We're not worried about figuring out the marketing. We're not worried about figuring out the future. We're not worried about games competing with each other. We're not worried about any of that. We're just worried about how can we make the most money off of selling a piece of hardware. This might make sense. Like they might make $50, they might make $60 off of selling a 2DS XL, whereas with the Switch, $10, $20 maybe. Maybe online you can find that information, but I absolutely, no matter what the number is, the 2DS XL is going to probably make Nintendo more money because it's very antiquated hardware. The screens are old. The touchscreen is not a capacitive touchscreen. It's an old style touchscreen. So yeah, $150 though is not actually that cheap. I believe the original 2DS was even cheaper than that. Wasn't it like $79 or like $100, $99.99? So I don't know. So I don't know. Let's recap here, shall we? I think it's stupid. I think it's got the worst name ever. I think it's pretty pointless. I think it could potentially create confusion amongst consumers that are not in the know, and there are many of them, and that's the consumer you got to go after with the Switch. But I don't think it's doom or gloom. I don't think it's necessarily time to be alarmed at Nintendo being crazy again. I can see this thing maybe being the next Game Boy Micro, to be honest with you. I can see it being this thing that Nintendo talks a lot about. It launches, not many people give a damn about it, and then they stop talking about it, and they eventually discontinue it. So yeah, I don't know. It's weird. But basically, I don't care. And if it creates confusion and it hurts the Switch, no skin off my back. I mean, I don't have stock in Nintendo. So yeah, I think ultimately the Switch needs games, right? As long as the Switch has some insanely great games, and we need a lot of them, by the way, because right now there's not much to play on your Switch. Mario Kart just came out, and that's cool, but it is a port after all. So we'll see. Those are my thoughts on the Nintendo 2DS XL. That's a sentence I thought that I would never have to say, but here we are. Leave some comments below. Let me know what you think of the new Nintendo 2DS XL. Maybe you can tell me what you think about the Nintendo DS, or the Nintendo DSi, or the Nintendo DSi XL, or the Nintendo 3DS, or the Nintendo 3DS XL, or maybe you can talk about the new Nintendo 3DS, or maybe the new Nintendo 3DS XL, or maybe the new Nintendo 2DS, or maybe the new Nintendo 2DS XL. God, I just want to bite the head off an amiibo. That's a weird urge to have. That's not a normal thing to say.